believe we are live on Facebook. Still getting used to this technology and being able to see everyone. Good morning, Mel. Can you hear me? Just double checking my audio before we get started. Melissa, can you hear me? Mel, I want to double check audio and live on Facebook. Can you hear me and see everything on both sides? You can hear me? Okay, great. We're all good to go. All right, good morning, everyone. We have a few more people that are going to be jumping on here and joining the Zoom call. But meanwhile, wanted to just go ahead and get started. And we're going to talk about living in alignment with our values today and what that looks like. Last week on our Magnificent Mondays, we chatted about kind of filling your own mental cup and being able to connect with our original dream when we first got into the world of education and connect with our current reality. And then also to be able to create these healthy habits and healthy routines. And Melissa was able to share a lot of tips on self-care and what that looks like. So I wanted to start off our call with kind of checking in with anyone who was on last week who wanted to share about your healthy habits that are working for you or what's not working for you. So feel free to type in the chat box below or chime in and unmute yourself and let us know, how are your individual self-care habits going? What's working well for you in order to fill your own mental cup? Melissa, you want to chime in with what worked really well for you last week?
Meditation. I've been meditating over an hour and a half a day, so I've been solid with my practice. That's been working for me.
Are you using a guided one or are you just using music? What's your go-to?
I'm doing 3 a day and 2 of them are guided, 1 of them's not.
Beautiful. I'm loving the Oprah and Deepak free 21 day that they have right now. Mm-hmm. So if anyone's looking for a guided meditation that's super simple and easy to follow, Oprah and Deepak have a 21-day free version right now. What I love about what they're doing this time is they're not cutting it off after 5 days like you have to keep up, is they're keeping the entire thing open until I believe it's May 1st. So that's a great one if anyone else is really focused on their meditation practice and really kind of tapping into that part of their well-being. Linda, what about you? I'm going to put you on the spot. I know you just joined us. You're on mute right now. Can you unmute yourself?
Okay, sorry. I did just join. Thank you.
Yeah, so we were checking in on how's your self-care practice going that you were excited about last week?
Well, I have been doing a guided meditation every morning and the self-Reiki, and that helps. And I keep myself busy and I exercise every day. So those are all the things that are working.
Beautiful. I love it. Love it. Love it. And for me, it's been waking up and immediately turning on meditation. So I think we're all three in the same track, is kind of catching myself before my brain gets too busy with the to-dos for the day and all of that stuff. It's actually kind of having a meditation queued up from the night before and just pressing play and listening to it first thing, often before I even get out of bed. And what I do in case I fall back asleep is I set a second alarm for just enough time after the meditation, just in case. Yeah, I think
you give me 1 second, I'm listening, but I'm gonna share this link because last week when I shared the link on my school email, we had about 5 people jump in. So
I love that. Thank you.
I'm gonna do that right now if that's okay.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it so much. And we have someone else with us, and the name Needin is on. Do you want to chime in? We can't see your video.
Hi, I purposefully turned my video off.
Oh, no worries. No worries.
The same. I've been meditating, definitely not that long, just 10 minutes. And then I also started doing some Qigong. So that's been really nice.
Will you describe that for those of us that don't know what that is?
It's just a real slow moving stretching. It's just really nice.
Oh, fabulous. And is your first name Needham?
No, it's Naomi.
Naomi. Okay, awesome.
The Eden part is my last name.
Perfect. I just want to make sure I refer to you by your actual name.
Thank you.
That's awesome. And so as we kind of get into the meat of what we're going to talk about today, because I do want to take a fair amount of time diving in, because a lot of us have never taken the time to articulate what are our personal core values and how do we live in alignment with them. And so I think it's super important to start with kind of the why our value is important. I think I talk about it often. We have this inner 2-year-old inside of us that needs to know why are we talking about this? Why is this important? And so when I think about the why for core values, is they actually are the core thing that drives our behaviors. Whether it's conscious or unconscious, our values are consistently driving our actions and choices and behaviors on a daily basis. So when I say the word core values versus values, what do you guys think the difference is between those two? Go ahead, Linda.
All right, so our core values is like why we do what we do, how we make ourselves a team, and how we have a collective mission, where like my personal values, everybody's personal values might vary a little bit, but the core values of our organization is the culture of our organization.
Yeah, absolutely. When you think about organizational values, absolutely. And welcome, Stephanie, to join in the conversation as well. And wanted to really kind of hone in on the word core next to the values. Because when we think about values, there's lots of values that we all agree with. We all agree with the value of being respectful. But oftentimes that looks and feels different to each individual. And so when we hone down and we look at what's below that value, we can start to articulate what is a core value that when it's violated, we get a visceral reaction to it. We feel that triggered state in some part of our body. We'll actually feel a physical sensation or a visceral reaction to it not being in play or it being violated. And so for someone, disrespect could look like honesty. So it was disrespectful that you didn't tell me the truth. So the value is really the honesty that is being violated. So what I want you all to think about and take the time during this call and even beyond, as you start to articulate your personal core values, is to kind of peel back the layers and go a layer deeper than just the surface value of, a respect or one of those other common words like trust, is what's below that. One of the things that we talk about in a lot of our leadership and culture workshops is the anatomy of trust. And I love Brene Brown's work with that. If you aren't familiar with how she articulates the anatomy of trust and all the components that go into it, it's super fascinating and really easy to dive into all of the components that really help us build and grow trust, not only for ourselves, but for those around us. So when I hear people talk about I value trust, it's like, which component of trust is it really a core value of yours? Because we can all agree we value trust, but what is the component of that? And looking a little bit deeper. So my intention for this call is for you all to kind of walk away with this renewed sense of 1, 2, or 3 of your personal core values and an action that you want to take in order to live in alignment with them. Because especially during this time, more than ever, us reconnecting with the core of who we naturally are really gives us the guidance in order to create our future with intention, even in uncertain times. Because no matter what happens with the system of education, if we as educators are centered in our core and we're living in alignment with our values and in alignment with what we know is best for not only ourselves, but our colleagues and our students, then we're going to create the new normal in education to be one where we can all thrive together and we can create these amazing communities of education that is truly about growth and learning and not necessarily just about going to school and checking boxes. Because we all know that system doesn't work for us and it doesn't work for our kiddos. And the only way to shift the system is for us as educators to actually shift and grow our conscious community together. And so again, every Monday, we're going to jump on and do these Magnificent Monday calls and dive into a different topic that we're going to actually be teeing up a program that we'll be launching at the end of this, that will be actually diving even deeper into these topics and going more on an individual level, where we'll be guiding you and coaching you through a lot of depth on this. But for now, everything that we're providing is free, so feel free to invite anyone that you want into the community. We've got the Educator Dynamics Conscious Educator Circle group going, and happy to have you come in and join that conversation as well. One of the things we're going to do on that conversation is we're going to have Me Mondays. And so one of the cool things that I think it's cool, maybe the people in my workshops don't think it's cool, but is I do Me We School. And so we do Me We School check-in, and it's about accountabilities. Because think about concentric circles. If we're not taking care of ourselves first, it's hard to take care of the team, that's the we, right? Which makes it even harder to take care of the school or the community or the family, right? So understanding that there's layers of growth and development and how we need to take baby step actions towards what we actually want to achieve in life and how we want to grow and evolve and learn and become stronger and more connected with each other to make the impact that we always dreamed of. So on Mondays, we will have Me Mondays that will be all about what am I super excited about or super proud of that I've committed to for myself and my own personal growth, and what am I committed to going forward, so we can all help and support each other there. And then we'll have We Wednesdays, which will be all about your team or those around you, maybe during this quarantine time. It is a matter of those that you're quarantined with, or maybe it can be your professional learning communities within the schools where you're gathering together on a weekly basis. But it's what are we doing within that team? And then on Fridays, because we don't have an S on the middle of the weeks, and I didn't want to move it into the weekends, we're going to have F for Family Fridays. And it's going to be all about what is that bigger community piece that we're contributing to, and how are we actually moving the needle there. And so it's all going to be about action and celebration for how we're supporting each other as a conscious educator community. So hopefully you'll join in on that conversation as well. Again, living true to one of my core values of really making a difference in the world more than I ever dreamed possible is just that giving back and making a difference are true core values of mine. If I'm not doing this work, I'm not living in alignment with who I naturally am. So these are all pieces of actions that really help me feel in alignment with that and fill my cup on every level. So I want to hear from a couple of you, just those of you that have gone through the process of articulating your own individual core values. What is one of them that you are really living in alignment with right now? What is one that you're really living in alignment with that is really working for you? You can either type it in the chat box or go ahead and unmute. We'd love to have the conversation as well. Linda, if you're connecting with us, you're still on mute.
I was not. I was just saying to myself, let me think about this. So give me a minute and one of you guys can chime in and I will be happy to share something. I have a few, dancing around in my head, but I want to be able to explain how I'm living it now. So I always need a moment to process. I can't just jump in with an answer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the simple ones for me is one of my number one core values is gratitude, and really focusing on what you're grateful for, no matter whether you're at the highest of high or the lowest of low emotionally or energetically of what's going on around you. When you focus on what you are grateful for, life's fabulous, and you can't have anger and gratitude at the same time, or you can't have frustration and gratitude at the same time going on in your brain. So when you actually are intentionally choosing gratitude, it changes the chemistry of your brain into a more positive state. And so one of the things that we're committed to is actually every meal that we share together. And we've had the good fortune of having a lot of family dinners during this time, which I hope a lot of others have been able to do as well. even if it's via Zoom or, or FaceTime with your families to have some family dinners, but to actually start every meal, or maybe even just that's part of the dinner conversation, is to talk about what you are grateful for. And I know it's been beneficial for us, even if the kiddos go, I'm grateful for this food, or, you know, they'll get into it once you do it more and more. Melissa, do you have one?
Yeah, core value is health. It's my number 2 core value. It's something that I live and breathe. It's something that I teach my clients and I coach my clients on. I think at a time right now, more than ever, we have the opportunity to revisit, refocus, and reprioritize our health. And for me, it's something that is a behavior that I put first and foremost every single day. I dedicate at least 2.5 hours to myself every single morning. And I know a lot of people are like, how is that even possible? It's possible because I make it a priority and it's important to me and it's a core value for me. And so how that shows up at play is that, yes, some mornings I will have to get up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning to get that in. And it's not always the easiest thing to do, but it's the most important thing for me, because if I am not filling that bucket or making that a priority, I don't show up in the world my best version of myself for my clients and for others that are around me. And also too, my choices and my decision making are not as clear and intentional when I don't take that time for myself. So that time for myself is the most, and also it correlates to my number 1 value, which is love. And so love is a very broad word. And so for me, love is all around how I treat myself and how I treat others around me. So number 1 and number 2 really go hand in hand. It's self-love and health. Those two really are intertwined for me. So that's how it's been at play for me.
Love it. And Naomi, I see that you chimed in about journaling daily to keep yourself grounded. So important to really have those practices. And so if you were to think about the value that is at play when you're doing that, in order to connect with that core of who you are, what value would you say is at play that would be connected to that journaling? Hi, Amy. No worries, Naomi. Happy to have you type in the chat. We all are juggling external factors while we're living on video conference these days. Amy, just to catch you up, we're talking about your core values that are at play and what value right now is really prominent in your life, and what actions are you taking to be living in alignment with it? Do you have one that's really standing out to you right now? Hope you're still on mute.
It's a little bit different than Meet. This is my first time using Zoom.
No,
I'd say community is the most important right now for us, for our students. Obviously, we want to continue their education, but I care much more about their emotional and physical well-being at this time. We can catch up, we can catch up their learning. We can't undo any trauma that might happen here, and to minimize the trauma is the most important thing, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that.
Stay connected,
Yeah, that connection and community piece is huge right now. And I think that's huge for a lot of people. And you modeling that and staying connected is going to be a huge inspiration for your communities. So thank you for doing that. And Naomi is saying the value that connects me with staying is grateful. With things being crazy, I don't want the days to be wasted. So I'm trying to stay focused on the positive things. Absolutely. And really that changes our state of mind. One thing I've been doing is I've started noticing if I'm on Facebook or on Instagram or any social media, and I'm scrolling through and feeling the lightness of some of the memes that are out there and the jokes that are out there, it's great. But then all of a sudden I start tapping into that fear and going, oh my gosh, what is this all really for? And I start feeling the energy of the whole planet and the fear and uncertainty. And I start just feeling the tension, and I'm feeling it right here. We all feel tension in different places in our bodies, but for me, I'm feeling it right here in my heart. And so when I start noticing that sensation, that's when it's a cue for me to go, okay, time to pause, time to shift. You know, like we tell the kiddos, sometimes you need to code switch, and you need a brain break or whatever it is. It's even noticing that for ourselves is to go, okay, time for me to switch. Whether it's you get up and you stretch and you move around, or you walk outside your front door and then you walk back in like you're walking into an office, you know, pretend it's a different building. I don't know. We got to make up funny things to do during this time. But making sure that we are staying grounded in that positivity and that value is huge. So gratitude and positivity really will tend to go hand in hand. So thank you, Naomi, for that. Linda, did you have one you wanted to share as well?
I do. I mean, there are several. I mean, I actually, all the things that you've said, they resonate with me. I agree with you that having gratitude, I am like very thankful that I do have close family here right now, and that I do have people that I share my home with. So I am not alone, and we have, you know, all the pets, and I am actually very grateful that I have a job where I'm still getting paid and things like that. Like, so I am practicing the gratitude, and like you've all said, that it does help keep you in that more positive frame of mind. My health, I am making an effort each day to make sure that I'm taking care of my health, both like what I'm putting in my body and what I'm doing with my body, and staying active. I think the one that I resonate with the most is my family. So family, and family that we choose. So my friends that are family, my church family, and my actual blood family, staying connected with all of them and reaching out to all of them, and, you know, scheduling so that way we all stay connected and everybody feels loved. And even like my student family, you know, having that, you know, sense of we're not alone, because I know a lot of people, even though they might smile and laugh while they're on the video chat with you, they still may be feeling really alone. So putting that effort out to reach out to as many people as I can that are part of my family, my extended family, is what I feel like I'm really doing.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. I love that. And I love how, you know, it goes through layers of the actions and the behaviors that show that you're living in alignment with that value. And the more mindful we are of those things, and the more we're actually appreciating our own behaviors and actions and celebrating ourselves for that, the more it expands, the more we're going to lean into it and do it more. And really making it simple, not really focusing on more than 2 or 3 of your core values to tie your actions to right now. Because anymore, you're going to be fighting against the collective global energy that's going on of fear and uncertainty. Whereas if you can really hone in on max 2 or 3 of your core values and align your behaviors and expectations to them, the more you're going to gain momentum and attract to you the communities of people who are like-minded, who are in values alignment with you. Because that values alignment with those of us that we're surrounded by really helps things grow and flow in a really natural state, versus feeling the conflict and the friction. I was talking to a friend of mine in Norway, and she was mentioning that the Norwegians and the friends that she's been connected to, like there's some quote unquote jokes going around around how many people are going to end up divorced during this time. And while there's a part of us that wants to make light of that and laugh at that, there's a piece of that that really is unfortunate and devastating to those people going through those situations right now, where all of a sudden you're put into this family environment day in and day out, quarantined together, and not having the tools and strategies to be able to connect with intention, to be able to align with your own individual values, to be able to have a values-based conversation with your significant other or with your children or whoever you're living with, to be able to create those common core values. And so the work that I've been doing in the last 10 years has been helping school communities create their common language of core values, between the students and the families and the support staff and the educators and the community partners, and bringing them all together to go, these are our common values. This is who we are. This is how we do things here. Now, in this environment, it needs to be done in our families and in our homes, because that's how we can actually align our behaviors and our expectations. Because as you know, we talked about the concentric circles. When we were doing it with me and my individual core values, now I can align my behaviors to that, and I feel that rhythm and I feel that flow. But now I need to take it one step farther and go to the we. So the we is those people that you're spending the majority of your time with on a weekly basis, whether it's colleagues or whether it's family or whether it's friends, even if it's virtually, is having that alignment of your core values and talking about them. Which values are super important to us? And how can we actually show that we're living in alignment with them? The companies that are going to thrive, the organizations that are going to thrive, the teams that are going to thrive during this time are those that are actually going to connect rooted in their values first and go, this is what's really important to us. The principles, I have a conscious principle call every Wednesday. Any of you principals out there that want to join, just let me know. Happy to invite you. And so having that conscious principle conversation around how do you actually lead from your position of strength in a way that is aligned with the values of your school. So that if the value of your school is wellness, for example, and it's all around health and well-being. So if that is one of the core values of your school, then how are you aligning your behaviors right now to focus on that? And making sure that everything you're connecting with your students about, everything you're connecting with your staff about, everything you're connecting with your families about is all about well-being and health, if that is in fact one of the values of your community. And understanding that the more we can lean into being intentional with that alignment, the more we can actually grow and flow together in a positive way to make it through however long we're going to end up being in this pandemic crisis. So I'd like to hear from some of you of how is that already showing up? How are you already kind of living in that alignment with your teams and your families? And welcome to those of you that also just joined the call.
So one of the things that I wanted to add, it's not exactly answering your question, but I'm thinking about what the core values are at the school that I work at and also my own personal core values. And now I feel like safety and security are core values that I took for granted, because I always felt, safe in my world, and I felt secure, we felt secure in our jobs and, financially, and it's actually making me more aware that safety and security, it really is, it's, in our hierarchy of needs, and, that's one of the top ones, but I wasn't even really considering that until, or not consciously, I wasn't aware that I was until recently, where, my physical security, my health security, my safety, the safety of my family, and those are now a priority. I'm here with my, dearest friend, and I know he's going to be asked to go out into the community to do some things for his students, and I begged him not to go. I was like, don't go, for me, for my family, for us, for yourself. And, it's difficult when you want to go and help, but you're also you need that sense of safety and security for yourself. So I know if it's challenging for me, it has to be challenging, especially for a lot of our students who may be, struggling with food insecurity and other types of insecurity that I can't even relate to.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up. Melissa, did you want to chime in on that? I noticed you were nodding.
No, I was just listening and just nodding to her. I have nothing to add on it, but I was listening for sure on what she was saying.
Yeah, super important, Linda, as we value safety, and one of the schools in Florida that I've been working with, they actually do articulate, and it's an elementary school, that safe is one of their values, because it is really important to them that they not only create a physically safe environment, right? They want to make sure that no one's tripping and falling and having accidents physically. But what they really articulate and mean by that when they talk about the behavior paragraphs that show that they're living in alignment with that value of safety is the emotional safety. And that it is a safe place to be who you are. It is a safe place to speak up and share some of those fears and vulnerabilities that may be scary in other environments, but that they actually create that safe container to really grow and evolve on a social emotional level as an entire community. And they call that out as their number one value. So I think that's That's huge. And especially even right now, you talking about the example of our immediate family, those that are in our homes with us, and the fear that we all have, that undertone of fear, and it's at varying degrees for different people, and no one is right or wrong or good or bad for it. It just is how it's showing up for us. Is that fear of either A, spreading the virus to others, or B, contracting it ourselves. And to be part of the solution, how do we do that in an effective way that still honors our value of safety? And there is no right, wrong, good or bad. Right now, it is about leaning into that sense of community and loving and supporting everyone for their own individual choices around that. And knowing that as we have conversations with those of us that are impacting our homes and we come to that collective decision, that we actually honor and respect the emotional waves that'll come with those decisions. But also within our school communities, you may have a group of teachers that are, you know what, I'm not worried about me and my family. I'm good. My immune system's good. And they feel that strong conviction. I'm going to go out and I'm going to be on the front lines and helping pass out food like every day. Like that's what I need to do. And then you're going to have another group that's going to go, you know what, I need to be behind the scenes. I need to be like, I'll be on Zoom, but I'm going to stay shelter in place because that's where I feel safe. Neither is better than the other. It's really about what is alignment for you and honoring that with non-judgment, because that is one thing that will really build trust in this community, is not judging each other for what it is to live in alignment with our values. Super important. Welcome, Ward, to our conversation. Happy to see you. And I can read your lips while you're on mute. So happy to be here.
How about now?
Perfect. So questions at this state. I feel like I threw a lot at you. Questions or comments at this point before we kind of dive in to our worksheet?
I don't know if it's a question or a comment, but I am having difficulty. Most of my students do have tech. I've been pretty successful at being able to connect with them that way. I don't know if some of my students are just choosing not to engage at this point, or if they are, don't have tech. Anyhow, so that is a challenge for me, is that, sometimes it's, kind of easy almost to forget that those students, might want to engage and aren't able to. And, I know that we don't have great plans yet in place for them. I know those are developing, but that's my challenge right now, is to reach out to those kids who don't have tech, because usually the kids who don't have tech also don't have updated phone numbers and addresses. That's another issue, is because we have a lot of kids who move around a lot. And so, having updated contact information, having tech, all those things that, kind of go along with our more vulnerable communities, keeps us from connecting with those kids who probably need it the most.
Right. And what I would ask is, what does success look like to you during this time?
Well, I don't know if you're asking me specifically, but I'll answer specifically. Yeah. To me, success would be that every kid comes out of this knowing that they are important to our community, that they feel a sense of connection during this time, that they feel that, that DP is here to kind of help with any, obviously there's things in their lives, there's only so much we can do, but we can do a lot. And our goal is to help smooth over any of those, help them with food insecurity, help them, feel connected, help them get the tech that they need so that they can, continue with their education, or just get the tech so that they can be a part of the, the group. Because, I have like an ongoing thread in my classes of jokes. And that's one of my favorite things, is that the kids will chime in and just, tell jokes, and that's,
That value
great
of
way.
laughter, right?
Yeah, it's a great way to keep them connected. And I've noticed that because, the kids are starting to like just use that forum as a way to reach out to each other. I had a couple kids say like, hey, I really need somebody to talk to at this time. Can somebody, can somebody DM me? And then like, kids have responded to that. So that's been good. And
That's
anyhow.
great. Yeah, and I think that's super important, that when we start to feel that loss of control around being able to help, because as educators, like, we are caregivers, right? That's our it's just built into us to take care of other people. And so when we want to take care of others and they're not responding, there's almost this sense of like, okay, what else can I do? What else can I do? And so the fear and the uncertainty and starts to creep in, and it's like, how can you realign to your values? And I heard you talking about laughter and jokes and playfulness, right? And so that's obviously a value of yours. So how can I lean into that value and contribute that to not only my students through Google Classroom or however you're connecting with your students, but also to a greater audience of students? And how can I measure success in the ones that are interacting, and just continue to send positivity and hope to those that aren't, to hope that they will once they're able to, no matter what's happening. And there will be those students, we all know them, that are going, I'm just not going to do anything because I don't have to. And that's okay right now, because there's not much else we can do, because we don't have them in a container, right? We almost have to let go of those things that we can't control and really align with our values and the things that we can control. So if it is about community and it is about connection, how can you create that intentional community and connection in order to feel your sense of success on a daily basis? And on another call, we'll get into the pillars of the science of happiness to really help kind of align with how are you filling all 5 of those buckets of the science of happiness so that you can be tapping into your well-being. But making sure that right now those values are at play, because those we can articulate. So one of the things that we're going to send you after this call, so anyone who wants this worksheet, is really helping you articulate your individual core values. Go ahead and put your email address in the chat box, or you can email Melissa at gotcorevalues.com if you don't want to put your email in the chat box and you want to just email Melissa directly. But she will go ahead and send you this worksheet that I'm going to do this in a non-tech way. This is about creating your core values and being able to go through these questions. We don't have time on this call to really go through in detail to a lot of them. That's why I want to send you the handout. I'm going to walk through them right now and describe them, but it's better if you spend about 15 to 30 minutes. Some of you may end up spending an hour doing this, and that's okay as well. However long, until you feel like you've really articulated at least your top 3 core values that you can align your actions around. But the first question on here, a lot of people laugh at why I have this on here, but it truly taps into you having that level of self-trust and self-love. And the first reaction I usually get from this question is, that's selfish. I would never do that. And I encourage you to lean into it a little bit more. So the first question is, what would you choose to do if no one else was around for an entire day and you had 0 pressing obligations? No one's around, you have 0 pressing obligations. What are you choosing for you as an individual? Because what you're choosing is often aligned with your true core values and the things that bring you the most fulfillment, right? To where you feel that sense of happiness, joy, whatever it is, those good sensations. Which leads into the next question is, what's really important to you? And it's almost like underlining really, because we have a lot of things that are important to us, but what are the core things that are really important to you? And just let your unconscious mind just list them. Don't judge them, just let your unconscious mind just list them. Because then when you go back and review, you'll start to see a common theme to your answers to all of these questions. But it's really important that you really allow your unconscious mind to answer these questions versus your conscious mind to judge you for having the answers to these questions. Because if your answer to question number 1 is that you would go out and pick flowers in a field and run and frolic and jump and play, don't judge that. Just write that down. That's okay. If that's what you would do, if no one else was around and you had no pressing obligations, if frolicking in a meadow and picking flowers is your thing, write it down, because you'll see a theme start to emerge off of that. The third question on here is, what things always upset you? And that's the PG version of saying what pisses you off. What is that thing that always triggers you and stirs up either anger or frustration or, yes, Linda, I love the word frolic. When you think about that thing that always pisses you off and you think about that irritation, like what is that? And if you can paint the picture of what that thing is and you go, okay, what am I really feeling in that moment? What is that value that's really being violated? And start to get curious with yourself and ask yourself questions to get to what the value is. And there's lots of places you can go online to get an A to Z list of core values. And we can all do this and go, yep, that value I agree with. So if you want to use an A to Z list, just to kind of jog your memory, to have some words that resonate, feel free to do that. But I really like these guiding questions to kind of help you articulate your core values, not just values you agree with. The next question is, what drives you to make the decisions you make on a daily basis? Which is another way to say, you know, why do I get out of bed every day? Why do I make my kids breakfast every day? Why do I connect with this certain friend every day? Why do I go to work every day? So what drives you to make the decisions you're making on a daily basis? The next question is, what is your barometer for the successful decisions you make? And by barometer, it's like, how do you know whether it's good or bad, right? So what is your barometer for the successful decisions you make? So if you make a successful decision, how do you know it's successful? What does it play in order for you to know that it's successful? And the next one is, what values do you absolutely have to have in place if something is going to work for you? So a couple of you mentioned community, family, that value of connection. So that would be something you absolutely have to have in place to know that something's going to work for you, is that connection with a team, if connection is a core value of yours. The next one is, what values are at play when you feel the happiest or most inspired? So when you think back to a moment when you were your happiest, when you were your most inspired, when you were in that place of like sheer joy, paint that picture for yourself and start to think about what values were happening during that time. Really feel it in your body, into the ways that you actually feel it in your mind. You feel it in your shoulders, you feel it in your stomach, you feel it in your heart, you feel it in your hips, you feel it in your knees, in your hands, and your feet, and start to feel what that joy feels like. And your unconscious mind will actually give you the values words that are at play. If you can actually take yourself through a body scan with each of these questions to really think about what value is coming up for you that's really true and authentic to who you are. And the last thing is to really just summarize the top values that keep showing up from the above questions. You're going to start to see a theme. So don't worry about repeating yourself. That's just showing you that your unconscious mind saying, yes, this is a core value. This is like, don't ignore me. I'm a core value. Don't ignore me. I'm a core value. And so when you come up with those top 2 to 3 at this point, and you may have more. I've gone through values exercises where I have 16. And the top 5 to 6 are the true core ones, because the rest of them are often just subsets of those top 5-ish. But right now, just in light of everything else that's going on in the world, what I want you to focus on is your top 2 to 3 core values, And how can you align your actions and behaviors on a daily basis to those? And Melissa would say to actually take those top 2 to 3 and cross off 2 and 3 for now and focus on number 1. And then we check in next week and see how number 1 went. And then you can move on to 2 and 3 and align those behaviors and those actions. Because our goal is to create routines and habits and behaviors around them so that it becomes an unconscious habit that is in alignment with your values versus something that is taking effort to create a new habit and a new rhythm around. And it's easier if you're just choosing one thing in order to focus on, because now you can feel the presence of success. You can actually feel that you are making progress. Because right now, when there's so much uncertainty in the world of education and where we're going and why we're doing and how we're doing and what's going to happen in the future and how are my kids and all of those pieces and parts, what you can control is who you're showing up as for yourself first, for your we next, whoever that we is, and then for your community. Making sure that you are really in alignment with the me, the we, and the family, or community, or school, whatever it is on that outside concentric circle. But understanding that you're not in alignment with the community or the school until you're in alignment with the me and the we. So taking that time for yourselves. And again, we'll email this handout to anyone who wants it, and be able to share that in the Conscious Educator Circle group as well. So please join the Conscious Educator Circle. As like I mentioned before, we will have the Me Mondays, the We Wednesdays, and the Family Fridays, where we will talk about how we are celebrating living in alignment, and then what we're working on for the next week. So every week it'll be kind of our place to share and celebrate each other of how we are living in alignment, not only for ourselves and our self-care and our self-love, but also the we and how we're supporting those closest to us, friends, family, colleagues, and then our greater families, greater communities on Fridays to really bring it all together. So questions on that? I went through that fairly quickly, but questions or thoughts?
You mentioned joining Conscious Educators. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I don't recall the name. You mentioned joining that. How does one join that?
Sandy, I'll email out the link in the follow-up email with the link to that for you, Amy. So every call I follow up with the worksheet and information. The hyperlink will be in the email for you to join.
Okay. Would it be acceptable and useful to put it into our DP at home Google Classroom group that we have for our educators?
Yes, it is a free public group, and it is on our Educator Dynamics Facebook page, and it is an open group in there called Conscious Educator Circle. So you can find it that way, and Melissa will send the link. So if you want to find the links through Facebook, you can do that as well. Or if you want to just send me a friend request on there with a private message, I can send you a direct link invitation. However you want to get to it, we'll make sure that you get there and join us.
Great.
I actually started there at 1 o'clock when you guys were all meeting here, and I couldn't find you guys. So somebody sent the link in there, so that's how I found you, but I was ready on time. All morning I've been waiting for this call, so I apologize for being late. And I wish I heard the beginning part of this, because you guys are so in alignment with what I do, how I speak, and how I live. So it's just beautiful to find you guys and be together.
Oh, I love it, Tammy. And I'm so excited that you're here and so happy to be connected with you. And Tammy and I connected through our Global Genius School community that is all about revolutionizing education. And we've been working with that group for 2.5 years. And it's part of the Genius camps that I've been running. And we're actually doing a pilot program this weekend for 20 high school seniors to take them through a modified version of the camp. So we've created a master class to help ignite the inner genius in our seniors, to help them really kind of potentially find an entrepreneurial path and connect it to a greater global community when they're feeling lost right now. So our pilot is this weekend, and when the pilot goes well, I'm not going to say if, when the pilot goes well, we'll be able to expand that masterclass out to more students around the world, which will be really great. So, so super exciting things happening in education around the world that we'll be bringing into this Conscious Educator group as well. to share with you guys and really be focused on solutions and actions and what we can do and how we can stay connected and positive and mindful together. And it doesn't mean you can't have a hard day, because we all do. It just means you have a community that's here to support you unconditionally, no matter what you're growing through at any given moment. We're here for you in a really positive and solution-focused way.
And what Sandy does at the youth level, I do at Kindergarten Masterclass. So I'm going to be actually implementing my online, because we're coming back in Ontario to give them online strategies. So that's where I'm going to be delivering it, but at the kindergarten level. So I'm excited to implement this and really put everything that I've been teaching in the classroom online. So it's nudging me to move forward as well.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Yeah, Tammy and I found each other and we're so aligned and, you know, connecting with 2 different age demographics, but so in alignment with our passion and purpose in this world. So any other, go ahead, Linda.
I was just going to ask, I know how Tammy said that she wasn't sure like where to join it and somebody posted. Is there any way, Melissa, you can send the Zoom a calendar invite for the people who are on your mailing list now? Because having the calendar invite just makes it super easy, because you just click there instead of searching through the 8 million emails we're getting now to try to find it. Even though you sent it only 2 days ago, I think I had 40 emails since then. So if
we're getting ready to transition, Linda. We're transitioning to a whole new platform software right now. So we have a call this Friday with the new integrated software that we're implementing into the Educator Dynamics and Conscious Circles. So the answer is yes, I will calendar invite. It eventually is going to be all automatic. So as soon as you RSVP, the new software will automatically send you a link. But yes, next week I will make sure to send a calendar invite for sure.
Thank you very much.
You got it.
Yes, we've been working actually for a long time planning this community, and then, you know, give us global pandemic and we actually take faster action. So, so Melissa and I've been working really diligently on the back end, and we have a new partnership with a digital marketing company that's really aligning our systems and structure that is not necessarily my forte. So I'm super grateful to that team at Revenue Media Group for all of their help and really getting us aligned with our systems and processes so that it can be easier and seamless for all of you to really connect in with our community. And if you're ever wondering what the link is, feel free to send me a direct message, or Melissa a direct message on social media, and we're happy to send it to you as well. So it will be, Melissa, I believe we're using the same Zoom link every time, correct? So if you just bookmark this one somewhere, if you want to just add your own calendar invite before we end up getting our stuff together, you can you can definitely create that with this Zoom link. It'll be the same one every Monday. And we are recording them. And so while they exist live, we're also recording them and then posting them after. So any part that you missed, you can catch up on or go back and reference as you're going through the worksheet. If you want to kind of fast forward to the part where I talk about each question, you can do that as well. And feel free to share with any of your communities. Like I said, we are building this community for you and with you because we see a great need for conscious educators who are positive and purpose-driven and really focused on growing and learning with intention each and every day in their own lives to have a tribe. And so I've been working for the past 10 years with a tribe of educators. I just haven't put you all in one place. You're all doing and saying the same things. I just haven't put you in the same place. So this is an opportunity to share that there are lots of you in the world. And the more that we can raise the value of educators, the value of conscious educators, the more we will thrive in whatever the new system of education is going to be, because it will be a blend of old and new. We just don't know what that blend's going to be and where do we fit as individuals. We'll have the pathways and portals and resources for you all to be connected in with whatever makes sense for you. So, hello, Rebecca. Welcome. So as we...
I just want to add in, so as Sandy was saying, we'll send out the worksheet that is coming out today for you guys to do. And in the email, you'll also get the hyperlink to this call. So if you were in and out of the call or missed, you can go back and listen to the call to the cues that Sandy gave. But again, I invite all of you, after you get done completing the worksheet, and you identify, let's say, your top 3 core values, scratch out line number 2 and number 3 and circle number 1. And the reason why that is there's a really good book. We spoke about it last week in our principal conversation, and it's called Essentialism. And so if you've not read that book, I strongly encourage you to take a look at it and maybe download it as an Audible. But Essentialism talks about we as a collective human species, yes, we have learned how to multitask, but not necessarily really well. And the challenging part is when we multitask, we are not fully focused and really producing the desired outcomes that we have the potential to, unless we zero in and really hone in and focus on one task at a time. So with Essentialism, the intention is by scratching out 2 and 3, whatever your top core value is, that should be linked to your identity, right? So if my top core value is love, and I say, okay, if love becomes my identity as a human being, what are the 2 or 3 habits and behaviors that I want to start putting at play to become that identity? What are the habits and behaviors that I want to start putting at play to become that identity? We so often are focused on the outcome and the goal as the driving factor, right? So I use this in a lot of my work. We say like, oh, I have clients that say, I want to be down 20 pounds, or I want to eat healthier. And they focus so much on being down the weight, and they're so focused on the outcome or the actual, the goal that they're striving to so much that they forget along the way, what are the small behaviors that they need to start to practice to become the new identity, become that new person. Does that make sense with everybody? So whatever that top core value is that you identify in this worksheet, I invite you to focus on that as your new identity, and what are the behaviors, 2 or 3, that you can put at play to become that identity. And then down the line, as Sandy mentioned, if there is something in your external environment that is a trigger or pisses you off, you are responsible for checking in and going, okay, why is this bothering me and what's going on? And that's where the art of communication comes in, to where we have a responsibility of communicating with ourselves with, why is this bothering me? Okay, and now it's my responsibility to effectively communicate with those around us why it's bothering or hurting us, or we're being affected by it in a graceful way, as I like to say.
Love it.
That's my 2 cents for today.
Thank you so much, Mel. I want to open it up just in the last few minutes that we have here together. Any other questions or comments? Beautiful. So as we wrap every time, I want to hear from a couple of you, and even if you don't want to say it out loud, if you can write it down for yourself. What is your number 1 takeaway / action that you are committed to after this call? What is your number 1 action or takeaway that you are committed to from this call? And the second thing is what do you appreciate about this community? So whoever wants to chime in and share or write down for yourself.
We'll let Ward, you share first, then I'll share.
Okay. My action is to go back and look at what I missed, because I came in late and I apologize. I lost track of time. What was the second part of the question, Sandy?
What do you appreciate about this community?
Oh, everything. I like the honesty and the openness and the feeling of connectedness.
Awesome. Thank you. Happy you're here.
I'm happy I'm here too.
Linda, go ahead.
So my takeaway is to definitely reflect on my my core values, and to really look deep inside myself as I go through that worksheet, because all these things were popping into my head when you were asking those questions. And I'm like, okay, I really want to see where, I mean, not that I don't know myself, but it's going to be nice to see it on paper and for me to prioritize things that way. What I appreciate about this group is that I enjoy the community with like-minded people. And I feel like the vibration and the energy of this group is very strong. And I know as we get more and more people to join, it's just going to be even more elevated. And I know that helps me, and hopefully that helps all of you and those around.
I love it. Thank you so much, Linda. So happy to be seeing your face more often again. Anyone else want to share? Tammy, go ahead.
So I've focused a lot on myself, but what I want to action step on is trying this with a brand new quick heart and just see if everything I've said and written out in this in the past is still current today. So, you know, it's nice to be able to challenge myself and see if those core values have shifted or if they still remain the first, because mine has always been love is the first one. But I'm curious to go through your paper with a new set of eyes and questions and see what comes up. And the thing I appreciate the most is really like I've been raising my vibration and finding my groups, but this feels like talk about niche. It's like right there. And, you know, it's vibration, it's conversation, it's education. That everything else has been guiding me towards. So thank you for allowing me to be part of this.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. Amy, did you want to share?
I was just saying goodbye because I've got to go because my husband's about to go on lunch. He has a tight schedule. He's working from home and I get him for half an hour and I want to go take care of
Got
him.
it. Oh, please go do that.
My one takeaway action is going to be identifying those kids who have not yet connected with me and trying to connect with them.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being here, Amy. Enjoy time with your husband.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Sue or Rebecca, do you want to chime in? I'm not sure if they can hear. So let's go ahead and wrap the call. Sue or Rebecca, if you want to interrupt me, feel free to. But I wanted to really just share my appreciation and gratitude for all of you joining in either on the Zoom to be connected into the conversation in real time, or those of you watching the live, or those of you watching the recording. I am just so grateful to be surrounded by the most passionate, driven, amazing group of humans on the planet. And it is my passion and purpose to really be able to create this container for you so that we can all rise together bigger, better, faster, stronger in a way that elevates us in a way that we are truly aligned with our natural calling and our natural passion and purpose. So next week on Magnificent Monday, we are going to dive into, I'm going to pivot a little bit, Melissa, from our previous agenda. But I think it's going to be good to dive into our personal purpose. Why are we here? And I've got a really intensive 8-page worksheet that I'm not going to give you the whole thing because it's too much for an hour call. But I am going to share with you some really key pieces to articulating that personal passion and purpose, and why do you wake up every day, and really aligning that. Linda, we can stay on for a minute after. And so to have you join us next Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific would be amazing. We're going to dive into that personal purpose and why do you wake up every day, and what does success look like in your life, and how do you define it? Building upon our self-care and our values alignment, we'll build into personal purpose and then grow from there each week as we're together. And if any of you need anything in between, feel free to direct message either myself or Melissa, or send us an email. Reach out to us however you'd like. We are here to support you. So thank you all so much for being here. I wish you a fabulous week. Bye-bye.
Guys.
Bye.